Today we're making these sweet and chewy, no-bake peanut butter oatmeal bars, and I'm going to be making this entirely in the microwave. Starting off with a jar of peanut butter, Dollar Tree sells this small 10-ounce jar, and I wanted to show you the ingredients to show you that it is real peanut butter. Next we have these instant oatmeal packets. These are the original flavor, so they don't have any extra sugars or sweeteners added to them. And lastly, we have the honey, or in this case it is syrup. The Dollar Tree sells this blend syrup, which is a mixture of honey and corn syrup. I lined a baking dish with some parchment paper to prevent the peanut butter bars from sticking. And then in a microwave safe bowl, I added in my entire jar of peanut butter and my entire jar of honey. Give this mixture a quick stir. You don't have to stir all the way, just enough to start to combine the ingredients, and then you're going to microwave it for 1 minute. After microwaving it, stir one more time to combine the peanut butter and honey fully, and then you're going to add in 4 of your packets of oatmeal. The box comes with 6 packets, so that leaves you 2 left over for breakfast or for another recipe. Stir this completely until you don't see any more dry oats kind of sitting either on the edges of the bowl or in the bowl, and then you're going to pour this mixture into your prepared baking dish and use the back of the spoon to smooth it out. You will notice that this is not a very sticky mixture. It kind of self-sets itself over time. You can choose to refrigerate this to set it or allow it to set on the counter. I chose to put mine in the fridge for about an hour to fully set before I removed it from the fridge and cut it into 16 individual bars. For a second variation on this, if you want something that is a little bit more sweet, I chose to use a honey flavored peanut butter, and I used flavored oatmeal packets. I got this variety pack that came with maple brown sugar, apple and cinnamon and spice. And I chose to mix together the apple and the cinnamon and spice flavor, but you can really combine the ingredients any way you see fit, so the possibilities are kind of endless. Otherwise, I followed the exact same process as I did with the original peanut butter bars, and I cut them in the same way. And here are your finished peanut butter oatmeal bars. These are so chewy and delicious. They are a perfect make-ahead snack. You can even have these as a grab-and-go breakfast, and you can make them any flavor you want depending on what flavors of oatmeal are available. I've even seen a chocolate-flavored oatmeal if you wanted to kind of make a Reese's style bar. So let me know what combinations you would make for this. And these are delicious, and they only cost $3.75 to make a batch. Let's make some lunch for the week. Today we're making these Deli style pinwheels, kind of a take on a regular sandwich but on a tortilla, and we're going to make these lunchbox style. This is a no-cook recipe that doesn't require any appliances whatsoever. You'll need some flour tortillas, deli meat of your choice, I'm using ham and turkey, sliced cheese of your choice, I'm using American, and of course the condiments of your choice, I'm using mayonnaise. If you've been around my channel for a while, you know it's a good day when your Dollar Tree flour tortillas don't stick together out of the package. And if you take away nothing from my channel, at least take away this. Mayonnaise is so much easier to apply to anything with a spoon as opposed to a knife. I always use my spoon and scoop out about a tablespoon or so of mayonnaise, and then I use the back of the spoon to actually spread the mayonnaise out on the tortilla. Rather than having to use a flat knife, the contours of the spoon make it so much easier to spread out any sort of condiments on the tortilla. From there, I take a slice of my American cheese and I just tear it in half by hand, and I apply 1/2 to each half of my tortilla. I top that each with a slice of ham and each with a slice of turkey, and then I roll it up tightly and set it aside for later. You're going to repeat this process for as many of these wraps as you want to make for your lunches. I made 5 before I ran out of deli meat, but that leaves you with a lot of cheese and tortillas left over, which you can roll over into future weeks for future lunches. When I made these for Good Morning Texas, I cut them into 1-inch pieces for a pinwheel style, but when I'm making them for my own lunches, I tend to just cut them in half for time's sake. If you're making them for kids, you're definitely going to want to cut them up into small pieces. You guys probably remember these 2-compartment containers from my Starbucks protein box lunches, and these fit 2 of these little pinwheels perfectly. They are definitely my new favorite lunch container. For the rest of the lunch boxes, I added in small containers of pickles to each one, and then I added in one of my peanut butter oatmeal bars that you saw in yesterday's video. Of course, you can use any sort of cookie or sweet treat if you want here, and then the rest of it I filled with these garden vegetable crackers. And then you have an entire week's worth of lunches prepped and ready to go. The total cost to make this was $8.75, not including the peanut butter bar. Of course, if you make the peanut butter bars, those cost $3.75 to make, but you can definitely use any cookie or sweet treat that you want in these lunches. I just wouldn't be teaching frugal practices if I didn't use what I had versus buying something new. This video is a few weeks in the making because I wanted to make sure that it not only tasted like lasagna, but it looked like lasagna. So it took some trial and error, but I'm very proud to show you today a $5 lazy lasagna you can make from the Dollar Tree. You'll need 2 bags of cheese ravioli, a can or jar of your favorite pasta sauce, some mozzarella cheese, and for a side dish I'm doing Parmesan garlic Texas toast. There are a few steps to making this look more like lasagna, and the first is using a smaller baking dish so that you get more layers of ravioli. You'll also want to make sure your raviolis are thawed overnight, that way they stick together more, which will give you more distinct layers. Lay your ravioli in an alternating pattern to make sure that you fill in every single gap, and when you're adding the sauce, you're only going to add enough sauce to coat the ravioli. You don't want it to be swimming in sauce, you do want them to stick together. Repeat this process until you run out of ravioli. I did about 3 layers before I ran out, and I only used about half of my jar of pasta sauce. The other half can be used for a recipe like my mini meatball subs. Bake this uncovered at 425 for 30 minutes, and while it's baking, go ahead and grate up your mozzarella cheese. After 30 minutes, remove your lasagna from the oven and top with your mozzarella cheese. I put mine under the broiler until the cheese was brown and bubbling. Once it comes out of the broiler, it is so beautiful, you almost don't want to cut into it. I let it cool for about 5 minutes and then I cut it into 4 slices. I was very nervous to plate this up because I didn't know if it would stay together once I removed it from the pan, but to my surprise, it stayed together beautifully and I ended up with this dish that looks exactly like lasagna, tastes like lasagna, and takes about 10% of the work of making a real lasagna, and for a fraction of the cost. Of course, I served my lasagna alongside some Texas toast for a $6.25 dinner that will feed 4 people. This one goes out to you, Jazz Hands, and everyone else who's been asking for gluten-free recipes. Today we are making some chicken and rice enchiladas. Despite appearances, these are probably some of the best enchiladas I have ever had, so we have a lot of ground to cover. Let's just jump right in. I used a package of corn tortillas, this fajita rice bowl mix, 2 cans of chicken, a bag of pepper stir-fry, 2 cans of enchilada sauce, and 2 blocks of pepper jack cheese. Both the rice mix and the corn tortillas indicate on the package that they're gluten-free, however the enchilada sauce did not. I did check the ingredients and didn't see any reason to indicate that there would be gluten in the enchilada sauce. First, I drained both of my cans of chicken into a measuring cup so I could use this liquid to cook the rice. I ended up with about 3/4 of a cup of liquid total. Over on my stovetop on medium-high heat, I have a pot with a tablespoon of vegetable oil. I sautéed my rice for a couple of minutes before I added in the liquid from my canned chicken, which was 3/4 of a cup, and 1 cup of water. I brought this mixture to a boil, gave it a quick stir, cover it with a lid, reduce your heat to low, and allow it to simmer for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, remove it from the heat and allow it to rest undisturbed for 15 minutes. This is a perfect opportunity for us to begin working on our fajita mixture. On a skillet over medium-high heat with a tablespoon of oil, I added in both of my cans of chicken and sautéed this for a minute before I added in my pepper stir-fry mix. The pepper stir-fry was thawed and drained. To this, I added in the fajita seasoning packet that came with the rice bowl kit. Continue to sauté this for around 3 to 4 minutes until the excess liquid has evaporated off. If you wanted to stop here, you've got a $5 fajita rice bowl, but let's take it a step further and make enchiladas. For the corn tortillas, you'll want to fry them first. This helps to seal them so that they don't get soggy in the actual enchiladas. I fry them in some vegetable oil for around 10 seconds per side, and then I drain them on a paper towel. I fried 20 of these, but I only ended up using 16. Here you can see the difference between a cooked and uncooked tortilla. They are both still pliable though. The last bit of prep work is to grate both of our blocks of pepper jack cheese. We are now ready to assemble our enchiladas. Stir or shake your enchilada sauce. Pour a little bit into the bottom of your casserole dish just to coat the bottom so the enchiladas don't stick. And then one by one, fill each of your corn tortillas with about a 1/4 cup of your chicken and rice mixture. Roll it up tightly and add it to your casserole dish. Once all of your enchiladas are prepped, go ahead and top them with the rest of your enchilada sauce and your pepper jack cheese. As you can see in the background there, I even have a bonus casserole dish with 4 additional enchiladas. Bake these at 350 for 30 minutes and they are ready to serve. This Mexican enchilada sauce isn't quite as red as the enchilada sauce I'm used to using. That definitely makes this not as pretty as your typical enchiladas, but the flavor was definitely there. And they were quite spicy. I do think that that was due to the enchilada sauce, but both myself and my boyfriend really loved these. A few weeks ago during a Dollar Tree haul, I showed that I bought Dollar Tree coffee and creamer. I had intended to do a taste test video, and I'm sorry it took me so long. I'm just now getting to it, but it was pretty fucking awful, not gonna lie. So I'm glad I didn't do it then. Go ahead and continue watching this video as it only gets more comical from here. So this is the coffee that I tried and this is the creamer that I tried. This video isn't entirely pointless or just entertaining because despite me using really bad coffee, I am showing you the method of making iced coffee that I have been using for 2 years now. I have a standard 12-cup coffee pot that I fill up the pot halfway with water, so for me that's about the 6 to 7 line on the pot. And for the coffee portion, I use a little over 3/4 of a cup of coffee grounds. I just use Folgers brand, and I've been using Folgers for quite some time now, and it works great for me. My coffee pot has a bold setting which I use, but I haven't tested to see if that really makes a difference. You're basically making a double strength coffee that you'll dilute with ice later. I pour my freshly brewed coffee into a pitcher and I dilute it down with 3 tall drinking glasses of ice. This is the ratio that works for me, but if you like stronger coffee, you can use less ice. If you like weaker coffee, you can use more ice. Play around with the ratios that work best for you. Of course, pour your coffee over ice. It is chilled at this point, so it won't melt the ice, and serve with your favorite flavored creamer of your choice. For your entertainment purposes, I will leave the remainder of this video unedited.
That's bad.
Why does that taste like soap?
It's bad. It's
It
bad.
tastes like soap.
It's bad. Yeah.
Ew.
Oh man.
Today we're making a 1-pot Cajun chicken Alfredo pasta. This is a beginner-friendly recipe that costs just $7.50 to make, and I may revisit this later because while this was delicious, I think it could be improved upon, so I may make this part of a good, better, best series. You'll need 2 bags of Alfredo pasta, 2 cans of chicken, a bag of frozen seasoning blend, and some Cajun seasoning. I've recently been using the liquid from the canned chicken as a replacement for some of the water. It's essentially chicken broth, but you've already paid for the chicken, so it makes the most use out of the ingredients you've already purchased, but feel free to leave this out if you don't feel comfortable. In a skillet over medium-high heat with a tablespoon of oil, I added in my bag of frozen seasoning blend. I'm going to saute this for around 3 to 4 minutes until some of the extra liquid evaporates off. To this, I added 2 teaspoons of Cajun seasoning and allowed that to cook for a minute or 2 more before I added in both of my cans of chicken. To this, you'll add 4 cups of water. Of course, in my case, a portion of that liquid was the broth from the chicken. Bring this mixture to a boil before adding in both of your bags of Alfredo pasta mix. Stir well to combine and then continue boiling uncovered for 7 to 8 minutes, stirring every couple of minutes or so to make sure nothing is sticking to the bottom. After 7 minutes, try a noodle and make sure that it's cooked all the way through. Your sauce will still look pretty runny at this point, but that's okay. You didn't do anything wrong. You just need to allow it to set for around 3 to 5 minutes. The longer it sits, the thicker it will get. Here's my finished pasta after setting for 5 minutes. Of course, if you want an even thicker sauce, you can definitely cut back on the liquid, like use 3.5 cups instead of 4. I portioned this out into 3 bowls, which were pretty large servings, so I would say that this feeds 3 adults. Of course, if you're a family of 2 adults and 2 kids, this would work as well. or you can add in an extra bag of Alfredo sauce if you want to stretch it further. I would recommend serving it with a Cajun seasoning on the side, that way people can add additional seasoning to their taste depending on how spicy they like things. I like my food a little spicy, so I added some Cajun seasoning. I tried it and then ended up adding even more, so definitely make it to your taste. Here's my usual cost breakdown, and as always, if you try this, let me know in the comments below.